Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I think our glasses reflect our personalities.
I think they do too.
Okay, so y'all have to bear with us because we're getting used to talking into the mics, and
Yeah.
we don't even know how to set up the 2 mics.
No.
So we're learning as we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll start. I can't even sit back because I need to talk into the mic. I guess we'll start by introducing ourselves for all of our thousands and millions of listeners who don't know us. My name is Nicholas Ehringer, and this is my wife, Emily Ehringer.
Hello.
We're both from Dallas, Texas, and we are both civil engineers from Texas A&M.
Whoop.
Whoop. What am I missing?
More specifically, I guess I'm a structural engineer.
Okay.
We've been married for a little over 2 years.
Oh, that's good information to have.
So if an episode ever does not come to the light of day to see people, then there's a reason why.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, yeah,
And we can go into why and how and all that.
Yeah. So I guess I'll answer first, but I want to ask it. What are our roles in this podcast going to be? And so for me, I think by and large, I'll probably be kind of, I guess, doing this where probably typically with one guest, maybe a couple different guests. But yeah, just kind of talking because that's the only talent I have on the planet. Okay, so what is your role going to typically be?
My role is typically not going to be behind the camera or even behind the mic. My role will be behind the computer at the cutting floor.
Technically, you'd be in front of the mic, I think.
Yeah, whatever. I will serve the role as the producer person. I will be in charge of making sure all of the clips and all of the podcast episodes work out well and the YouTube videos work out well, and I will also be in charge of marketing and all that jazz.
Yeah, marketing to our millions of
to
viewers.
our millions of viewers,
okay.
Obviously.
Okay, so basically, I guess this is just the whole point of this is just as our intro episode, and we're just gonna run out with what is agree to disagree? Where do we come up with it? And so basically, agree to disagree is kind of just a catchy name, but essentially where we came up with it is between whether it's conversations with us as just husband and wife and all of our always in agreement, never disagreeing or conflicting conversations that we have, but our conversations or conversations with our parents or her parents or friends, I thought it's really, really cool to have conversations, especially when you have elements where you disagree, to try and get down kind of more on the fundamental level of why do we disagree and what do we disagree about and what areas do we agree more than we disagree. And so all of those things are cool. It led to a catchy podcast name. But all that aside, kind of the purpose is I really think it'd be cool to have set aside designated hour or 2 hour conversations with our friends, with our family, with coworkers, or just with total strangers. Ideally on topics where we're not in total agreement. And so obviously it's really easy to find people we agree with, but I'd love to find people that I don't agree with and just have conversations about big time social issues or political issues or religious topics. Obviously we didn't include this in the background, but we're both coming from a Christian perspective, and I am not ashamed and love to talk about that and love to dive super deep into it, but that may not be super interesting to everyone. So, but yeah, religion, politics, social issues. We may even at some point break out a topic of LeBron versus Michael Jordan and do a sports themed episode.
I love how you're saying we. I probably won't be behind the mic for many, many more times.
Yeah, she'll chime in. She'll chime in when needed, when I need to shut up. But yeah, I think, do you have anything to add to that as far as what is, you've got maybe a different vision than I do, but what do you envision it to be?
I envision it as more of a conversation between friends, more of a time capsule between conversations. We can look back and see what we believed or what we thought at a certain time in our lives and see maybe how that's changed, whether it be certain political views or even social views, what was going on at that time of just the world. COVID's going or went on and is still going on. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes people's perspectives and just people's views and how I guess history will like reveal itself.
Yeah. Okay. So then this is where we probably have actually some disagreement anyways, but I was going to talk about kind of what I want each episode to look like. And so for me,
we do disagree a little bit about this.
And this is why it's good. And so this is why for me, I kind of envision each episode essentially being 2 hours long ish. They're in the ballpark and very like non-structured, very much just conversational, to like have a conversation over a marg or over a glass of wine or over a beer, and not like if we're talking about something like, I don't know, but if we're talking about a political topic or a social topic or something like that, it doesn't have to be super nailed down where everyone has all their arguments perfectly like fleshed out, but just a conversation where like just between friends over a dinner table or something like that. We're very casual, just an opportunity for everyone to air their opinions. Very light editing, but obviously that's coming from a person with very little computer skills. So you, as the producer,
I definitely think that there would. Oh my God.
Winston, we're recording, big dog.
From my standpoint, I think that there needs to be editing. Obviously, for instance, Winston freaking out at the table.
No, we need to keep that.
All of our all of our stuff like that needs to just get out of there. So
we'll do better with the ums.
Yeah, we'll do better with the ums.
We're fully expecting improvement, and so for all of our millions of viewers, any and all constructive criticism and feedback is much appreciated.
Well, what I'm hoping for is that we eventually, whether it's 5 or 10 or 20 people who listen,
million.
Yes, yeah. Million. I'm hoping that we can have not only the topics that we already kind of have pre-thought out or predetermined as like, hot topics that people would like to discuss. I would love to see you discuss with a guest topics that I would have never even thought of.
Oh, for sure. I think that's actually a good segue. But yeah, so again, for all of our listeners, I would love to have. We're starting with friends and family and coworkers, and because those are the people closest to us.
Right.
But I want to talk about topics where I have very little background on, or I can just do a lot of listening and like learning. So like, for example, the other day we talked about like the Afghan war and like what do we have going on there, and I know nothing about what's going on there, and so I don't know. You've actually got some extended family members, but. Yeah, if there are people listening that are experts or just super like enthusiastic about certain topics, we'd love to have you on, and I'd love to talk with you, and I'd love to listen. So I'm better at talking than listening, but we'll get there. Okay, we have a little outline here. We'll probably graduate from our outline. Emily told me I can't keep it written down anymore. I gotta put it in the computer. Yeah. So in the future, I'll look super sophisticated staring at the computer instead of staring at my outline. Okay. So we talked a little bit about individual episodes. What is the long-term goal of this podcast? Like what do you want out of this? And there may be a little bit of disagreement here too.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I would in an ideal world. It would be great if this podcast just took off and soared on to the moon and we got billions of subscribers and we're rolling in dough, and I'm quitting my job and living in Bora Bora.
Yeah, okay.
But that's probably realistically not going to happen. So
no, we're planning ski trips. There's no skiing in Bora Bora.
Yeah,
that's a long damn flight.
I would say long term, it would be nice to continue this just from a hobby standpoint and just continue to have constructive and productive conversations with friends, family, even random new guests that want to come on by and talk to us. That's fine.
Yeah. I think actually I kind of agree with most of that. Whereas like for me, my long-term goal for this is really just, I want to learn, obviously we figured this out tonight. We know next to nothing about literally how the mics plug in and how we record and how we're going to edit. And so learning that is a cool little side project to me. The conversations themselves, just as far as getting to sit down, well, I guess we'll get to this here in a second, but we're planning on, off the bat, recording one episode per month, just about. We're both, again, working.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, working full-time jobs, so off the bat, especially as we're getting into it, Like that's a nice kind of
not recording one per month, uploading one per month.
True. Yeah. Because we may have, for sure. But basically, that's a nice, as we get used to editing and everything like that, that's a bar that I think we can meet. So my thought process was, hey, if we do this for a year, that's 12 conversations with friends or family for 2 hours at a time that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And so for me, that's worth doing. Again, we joke about our millions of listeners, but to me, that's worth doing if we've got one person, if we've got no one listening to this podcast.
Right.
Actually, again, that was another thing we talked about tonight, and it probably will come to fruition. As far as I would love to have these conversations just for the sake of having them, and just for the sake of getting to know my friends better and my family better, and getting to like flesh out my own opinions, but also like be willing to change my own opinions, or be willing to change other people's opinions, or just be willing to get to that point in a disagreement where, hey, if we disagree about A, actually when we talk about it for 2 hours, we realize, oh, there's actually a level kind of D where we actually disagree, and it's a much more like understandable level where we agree on 95% of what gets us there, and then at the end of the day we just kind of disagree on this. And so I don't know, just understanding those opinions and understanding different perspectives, that's super cool to me. And I just want to continue to have those conversations. And I guess if we are lucky enough at any point to get anyone listening to this podcast, I just hope that that's something, whether they're listening at work, where they just get to listen to an interesting conversation that's not, I don't know, as a civil engineer, we do a lot of boring stuff. And
Yes.
so as I'm working, like, I like what I do, but I don't want that to become my entire life. And I would love, like, as I continue to get older, my life to be, like, surrounded by continually
variety
learning
of
and
people.
continually having interesting conversations
Yeah.
with people. So, yeah, I think that's... You want to add anything to that? That's kind of
No, I think that was well said, and I agree to that for sure.
I spilled my marg. We'll edit that out. Probably not. We'll see. Okay, so do you have anything else on the podcast itself? Again, this will be a much shorter episode than usual, which I guess kind of leads us into what are the logistics kind of moving forward, or what are we looking at as far as we talked about. We're gonna try to upload about one episode per month. As of right now, the first episode is in the works. We have kind of one or two that we'll be recording.
Yeah.
And I think we're trying to have, is it the 19th of September? Where we're trying to release
What?
that first episode?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not sure about an exact date.
So sometime, I think that weekend is when we're going to record it, and then we're going to try and get that released pretty soon after that. About one episode a month. They're going to be about 2 hours long to start it off.
About if it's just completely ridiculous and no one's listening for 2 hours or can stand to listen or hear our voices for 2 hours, we'll reduce that.
Yeah, and again, we've kind of talked about all this. We're going to be recording almost all of our episodes in our house. So we've got our lovely setup here with our
Hello.
world map and our bar cart. And so we'll record some episodes here. We'll record some episodes in my office. We've talked about, in theory, maybe taking equipment on the road, but judging
We'll
from
see. We'll
judging
see.
from our success with our equipment at home, we'll have to be at a more advanced level there.
Yeah.
As far as who we'll have on, we kind of talked about that, where we're starting with some friends and some pre-planned topics, but I'm really open to whoever. I've got some of your coworkers that have never even met me that I'd love to have on.
Yeah.
I think we'd have some really cool conversations. I'm sure friends of friends and mutual friends would make cool conversations. And yeah, if you're listening, love to have feedback and ideas and just different things to discuss. Topics, we kind of touched on that earlier. Social, political, lighthearted, religious, even some of the more detailed elements of Christianity and just theology. I've got lots to learn and want to talk about all those. I'm trying to think. I guess I'm about ready to wrap up. You got anything that I'm missing?
I don't.
Okay.
Just want to say welcome.
Well, yeah. Y'all are going to have to kind of bear with us as we go through this. But okay, how and where will we release episodes? I think you're the person for that, right?
We'll be releasing episodes to wherever you stream episodes of podcasts, of any podcast. So we will be going through a podcast host and...
Yeah, so I actually just found out about that. You can't just... In my mind, because I'm a fan of podcasts, I just listen to them and I'm like, oh, cool.
It's not quite like
I
YouTube.
just create a Spotify account and upload my thing to Spotify.
It's not quite like
It's not how it
YouTube.
works.
Well, it's not ideally how it works. I think there is one that's free.
how it works if you're rich.
There's
Okay,
one.
sorry. No.
There's one free called Anchor that lets you manage all your own stuff. But it has a limit on a certain amount of uploaded hours. But a host is a lot better, personally, from my limited podcast experience.
Yeah, she's
because
an expert. She's been doing this for like 2 weeks.
They help manage basically all of your episodes. They automatically have like Apple Podcasts and stuff like that. Be like, oh, they have a podcast with us. We'll automatically upload their.
So actually, this is like an on-air production meeting here.
Oh,
we've
no.
got our host.
Let's pause that for sure.
No. We've got our host. So then we upload it to our host, or to the host. How soon after that will they be available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and stuff?
I don't know. Don't have an answer to that.
Okay,
I'll look it up.
There you go. We will figure that out as we go.
Yes.
But that's essentially the plan is, at the end of the day, we want to release an episode, and we've got a YouTube channel for Agree to Disagree. We're going to want to have it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that.
Google,
and as far as
Google Podcasts.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as like the details, we're still working through some of that.
Yeah.
But that's the plan, is if you use YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., that's where you should be able to access it. I think we've got
You'll see your beautiful face on there.
Oh, geez, I hate that so much. I don't like hearing my voice. I don't like seeing my pictures. It just, oh, no.
Then why'd you choose podcasts? Just
because other people can just have to tolerate my voice. I don't have to hear it. And that's why it's great to have an editor.
Wonderful.
Yeah. But what else?
That's it.
No. Oh, Facebook. We've got a Facebook page. The reason that slipped my mind is because I am horrible at like social media presence in general.
I don't have social media.
No, but you're great at it. And so you created a
used to
Facebook
be.
page, and I think through my LinkedIn and I do technically have it, but through my Facebook, the podcast Facebook, we'll post updates there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's it. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for joining. Do we need to have a fancy closeout?
Get ready for the season, man.
Get ready to agree to disagree. Oh, yeah.